Tonight, the Dunedin City Council comes under fire for relaxing its anti-smoking stance. We meet a man with the job of perking up rural Southlanders. And fathom out what this contraption is doing deep in the waters of Lake Wakatipu. Good evening. The Australian Socceroos aren't the only ones celebrating a win after today's big soccer international in Dunedin. The match is also a victory for a cigarette company, which managed to gain exposure today despite a city council policy against it. And as Pauline Hudson reports, some local groups are unimpressed.
When it comes to cigarette advertising, the Dunedin City Council's policy is clear. It wants it stamped out. It's a policy the council adopted a couple of years ago, but for today's international soccer clash at its Caledonian ground, it's made an exception. The normally banned advertising boards were allowed to be temporarily erected for today's Winfield Trans-Tasman match. It's a move that's been condemned by the Cancer Society and other anti-smoking groups.
Our objections are that tobacco sponsorship and advertising increases consumption of smoking. We think they're backtracking on a policy that they've made, and that allowing such maximum exposure on an occasion like this simply makes a fool of the bylaw.
Today's International Soccer Challenge was the first to be held in Dunedin for 41 years. It was beamed live on television throughout New Zealand and Australia. The City Council says that sort of exposure is good for Dunedin, and if it hadn't approved the sponsors' advertising, the game would have been lost to another city.
But I think it's unrealistic to run the risk of losing a fixture like this on a principle. The principle still stands. We believe that people have the right to breathe fresh air in their workplace, and that we shouldn't have tobacco advertising on our sports grounds, and there will not be, a change in that principle.
So while today's game may have been a victory for Dunedin, anti-smoking groups, as well as the All Whites, are putting it down to one of 1988's big defeats.
Self-motivation is an important part of most people's lives, but when times are tough, it counts for even more. That's the message being spread around Southland by a speaker the Norman Jones Foundation has brought to the province. He's a psychologist whose message the foundation believes is appropriate in today's economic hard times. Peter Cruikshank with the details.
The late Norman Jones was not only self-motivated, but a believer in second chances. When he was a 19-year-old returned soldier, minus a leg, he went back to school. That, Foundation trustee Eve Poole told Tuatapere people, was his reaction to being told the best job he could hope for was a lift attendant.
So what Norman did, he overcame the most frightful handicaps, went back to school, and then later on to training college, to university. He became a city councillor, a member of parliament, and a highly respected and beloved man, not only in Southland, but in New Zealand.
Tuatapere is one of 7 Southland towns to which psychologist Dr. Stephen Saunders has brought his mind over matter philosophy. Coping with stress, he says, means not only thinking positively, but hanging on to a sense of humour.
Sometimes you can do the very best that you can do, and you do everything dead right, and it still don't work for you. And that's when you've got to keep a smile on your dial and laugh at yourself, because you have only 2 choices when you get to that stage. You can fall down a screaming wreck and become a walking case of frustrated happiness and spend your time in the psychiatrist's office, or down the pub taking the elixir of life, hoping that it'll go away. Or you can look in the mirror and have a laugh at yourself and say, hey, I'm here for another day.
Jokes aside, and here's plenty of them, some problems can lead to opportunities.
Motivation is highest, by the way, at moderate stress. When you've got something to work for, when the pressure's on. Too much stress, you go over the top. Not enough stress, you're not even getting out of the starting blocks.
Self-motivation means having a goal and a vision of the future, then fighting for it.
You've got to be determined. And there are going to be times when people are going to try and drag you back, but you're not going to care what they think as long as you can honestly tell yourself that those goals that you have in mind are fair and reasonable, and they're going to suit you, and they're your goals, and it's your lifestyle that you're mapping out, and it is legitimate, and it isn't offensive to other people, and it's within the law. You're on your way.
Is it going to alter the way you look at things?
I'll probably think twice before I do a lot of things, or say things, yes.
Gives you some things to think about and act on.
Well, I'm going to try
and be more positive in my own thinking, and try and pass on what I've learned tonight to my children.
So it will help you in coping with stress?
Yeah, I think it will. I just wish my husband had come.
There's no denying rural stress right now, but according to Stephen Saunders, people have to decide whether what's getting them down is reality or their own attitude to it.
The realities are hard to change. Their attitude is rather easier to change. Are they going to loosen up and relax about it? Maybe they'll have to move out. Maybe they'll change their style. Maybe they'll alter their standards. So they've got to look at that, and I believe that families got to work that out amongst themselves rather than have someone come and say, this is the way, because each way will be different for different circumstances.
The Invercargill Riding for Disabled Society has embarked on an ambitious plan to build a covered equestrian arena at Otatara. The society wants to ensure that those they help get the most out of the experience, something the climate doesn't always guarantee. Here's Peter again.
Riding for the disabled is a popular activity throughout the country, giving disabled people of all ages and types of disability experience in riding or driving horses chosen for their good temperament. It's a way of providing relaxation out of doors for them, exercise which helps them with other everyday activities as well. At Otatara, 50 people a week take part, assisted by a few dedicated volunteers. At present, a few access students are also helping out. Here, it's the turn of children with cerebral palsy from the Park Unit School.
Lifting. Just give Jeff a wee minute to relax. Just a minute.
Pam McMillan has been a driving force behind Riding for the Disabled in Invercargill for 15 years and has seen what it does for people.
The immense exercise that they get and the rhythm of the horse with the beat of the horse is very relaxing. It helps balance. We find kiddies that come off the horse can manage their sticks, wheelchairs, sitting positions, almost any activity they do.
This 2-hectare site at Otatara is where the society intends building the covered arena, because often the benefits of riding are lost on the disabled if they miss a session through bad weather.
We have so many unkind days, the want of a better word, in Southland that it is cancelled so often. Probably in the last 5 weeks we've had 2 days rally, and to give them the regular therapy that they benefit from, we feel that the arena is necessary.
It was another day of heavy showers in many parts of the region, but sadly, North Otago missed out again. There was a little light rain there, but it added up to only 2 or 3 millimetres. At 3 o'clock it was cloudy at Half Moon Bay and 12 degrees. Invercargill, cloudy and 12. Gore, partly cloudy, 13. Dunedin, rain and the low of 11. Palmerston, sunny with the 17 high. Oamaru, cloudy and 13. Kurau, cloudy and 15. Ranfurly also with that 17 degrees. Queenstown, partly cloudy, 15. Wanaka, partly cloudy and 16. And Alexandra, cloudy, also with 17. Teanau, partly cloudy and 15. And for tomorrow, Dunedin, 17 and Invercargill, 16 degrees. A crew from Television New Zealand's Natural History Unit has been testing a piece of state-of-the-art technology in Lake Wakatipu. The remotely operated vehicle, which contains underwater video and stills cameras, has been bought as a joint venture between Television New Zealand and the University of Otago. At Queenstown, while undergoing trials, it was also searching for the wreck of the schooner Moa, said to have sunk off Walter Peak in 1872. Lee Davies joined the treasure hunt.
Somewhere on Lake Wakatipu, in perhaps 50 feet of water, is the wreck of the Moa, a 2-masted schooner which sank near Walter Peak in the 1870s. A couple of sightings of the boat have been reported, but little other evidence has come to hand over the years. The hope on this trip is that the remotely operated vehicle, jointly owned by TVNZ and the University of Otago, will find it. The ROV is an import from the United States, and it contains a high-resolution video camera, a stills camera, and its own lighting and microphone, all connected to the surface and the control panel by a fibre optic cable. Despite its $250,000 price tag, there's still a bit of tinkering to be done before it finally plumbs the depths.
That's the story.
It can reach depths of down to 2,000 feet, A diver can go to about 150, so it's invaluable for underwater filming in places like Antarctica.
We're making a Wild South documentary on life under the ice, and we dived there last year, and it's most fantastic things to be seen, colourful sponges, communities of life that you wouldn't expect. With this vehicle, we'll be able to take it much deeper than a diver can go. We can go to 100 feet. This thing will be able to go to 300 metres, where no television pictures have ever been got before. And we'll be able to leave it down for long times at shallow depths to watch the behaviour of the little invertebrates or of the Weddell seals under the ice.
In Lake Wakatipu, though, the ROV has found only weeds so far. But the crew has brought along Connor Mulvey, who has a lot of local knowledge about the boats and ships of the lake. He's studied them for years, and he's still hopeful the ROV can find the wreck of the moa.
When it arrived here, it got caught with the sails tight in a strong blow out of the mountains up here and laid over on her side and sank. And it hasn't been seen very often. It depends very much on the light conditions prevailing. But it's reputed to be in this little bay behind us here, and it'll be very interesting to see how it goes.
Endless views of the lake bed may not be what Connor's looking for, but they're of great interest to marine biologists from Otago University. They intend to use the ROV around the Otago Peninsula to do just that.
As time goes on and we realise the potentials for the machine and what it can do, I think more and more departments and people interested in marine ecology and benthic ecology and other aspects of marine science, especially the geologists, will make quite a lot of use of it.
One of the great advantages of this machine to both TVNZ and the university is that it can provide high-quality pictures. At night time, the results are even better. But even video recordings as clear as this don't reveal any wreckage. Connor's still hopeful, but ROV pilot Paul Elliott's not too confident. He's worked with vehicles like this before, and he knows all the angles.
This is very responsive. I would term this about the sports car of ROVs.
Any idea how long it's going to take to find this wreck?
At the rate we go, in about 17 years.
As it turns out, Paul is right, and Connor is doomed to disappointment. But with numerous ROV journeys planned by both the Natural History Unit and the university, there'll be opportunities in the future to find and record undersea wonders which nobody has ever seen.